Never stop reading Bible.
Welcome! Today, we're diving into an ancient letter that was written with, honestly, incredible urgency and passion. It's a document that argues for a pretty radical idea of freedom, and it's absolutely fascinating.
So here's how we're going to break it down. We'll look at the crisis that started this whole thing, get into the idea of the one true gospel, see how the author Paul defends his authority, and then really unpack his main argument, faith over the law. Finally, we'll wrap up with the core message.
All right, first things first. This letter was not a casual hello. It was basically an emergency broadcast. A whole community was getting torn apart by a new teaching that, in Paul's view, was completely and dangerously wrong.
And this was the heart of the issue, the big question tearing them apart. Was the path of grace that Paul taught them enough? Or was there a catch? Did they also have to add on a bunch of rigid rules and laws? You can see the appeal of that, right? It gives you a checklist, a way to feel like you're in control. But for Paul, there was absolutely no middle ground. The very soul of their faith was on the line.
Okay, let's jump into chapter 1. And what's wild is that Paul just skips all the usual pleasantries. He gets straight to the point with this incredibly sharp, direct warning. You can feel the urgency right from the first sentence. I mean, just listen to the force of that language. He's astonished. That's a strong word. He's not just saying, hey, I think you might be mistaken. He's basically shouting that this other message they're listening to, it's a total fraud, a complete distortion of the truth. And here it is, the foundation for his entire letter. This is the linchpin. He says, look, this message isn't my opinion. It's not something I picked up in a seminar. He claims it came to him directly from a divine source, and everything else he's about to say rests on that one monumental claim.
So if you're going to make a claim that big, you have to defend not just the message, but yourself as the messenger. And that's exactly what he does in chapter 2. He essentially lays out his resume to prove his authority is legit.
And this is just brilliant. First, he goes to Jerusalem and gets the official stamp of approval from the top church leaders. But then, and this is huge, he later confronts one of those very leaders, Peter, for being a hypocrite. He calls him out for actions that went against the gospel. He's making a powerful point. The truth of the message is bigger than any single person, no matter how important.
And all this leads to the absolute core idea of the whole book, justification by faith. Think of it this way. How does a person get right with God? Paul's radical argument is that it's not something you earn by ticking off boxes and following rules. It's a gift. A gift you receive simply by trusting in Christ. That's it. Now let's see how he builds this into his main theological argument. In chapter 3, he puts faith and the law side by side and uses the community's own scriptures to prove his point. You can almost hear his readers thinking, right? It's the obvious question. Okay, Paul, if the law doesn't save us, then what was the point of it all? He knows they're going to ask this, so he takes them way back to the very beginning of their story. This is Paul's masterstroke. He points to Abraham, the father of their entire faith, and lays out this simple, powerful logic. Abraham was considered righteous because of his faith, and this happened hundreds of years before the law was even given. The conclusion is inescapable. Faith has always been the way to a right relationship with God.
So, what about the law? Well, it was never supposed to be the final destination. Paul uses this great analogy. He calls it a guardian, or a tutor. Its job was to guide us, to show us our need for something more. Until faith in Christ finally arrived, the tutor's job was done.
So let's wrap this up. Let's pull everything together and look at the core message from these first 3 chapters, which really are the heart and soul of this entire letter.
When you boil it all down, you see this incredible arc. It starts with the idea that there is only one true message. The center of that message is that we are saved through faith. It's a gift, not a wage. And the result? Freedom. True freedom from the crushing burden of trying to earn our way. It's a message that still challenges us today, leaving us with a really big question. What does it actually mean to live in that kind of freedom?
This explainer was prepared by the Center Studio.